Welcome to Baking with Chef Alex Cardinale. I'm your host, Chef Alex. What are we going to be baking today? What dessert are we going to be making today? Let's find out on Baking with Chef Alex right here, right now, live on my YouTube channel, the legendary Alex Cardinale. Hey everyone, Chef Alex Cardinale here. How are you guys doing today? Happy Sunday, everybody, and go Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Today I have another baking video for you, and today I'm going to make my second variety of a bread pudding. A few weeks ago, I made Texas Roadhouse bread pudding utilizing our legendary dinner rolls and our honey cinnamon butter from Texas Roadhouse. If you missed that video, just simply go to my YouTube channel, the legendary Alex Cardinale, and go to my cooking and baking playlist, and you will find that video, and you can watch it there to see me make Texas Roadhouse bread pudding. But today I'm making another unique version of bread pudding, and today I am making glazed donut bread pudding with a very simple caramel sauce that you're going to love. This is going to be a fantastic recipe, and I can assure you, you're going to enjoy it. So the recipe with all the ingredients and directions will be posted in the video description and in the comments of my YouTube video, of today's YouTube video. So I'll post the recipe with the complete instructions and directions in the video description and also in the comments as well. So we're ready to begin. Let's head right to the kitchen with Chef Alex Cardinale. But I think Chef Alex wants to go to the kitchen laboratory first, so let's hand it over to Chef Alex and see what he's got to say. All right, it's time for Chef Alex's top secret information for today's video. Today I'm going to be making glazed donut bread pudding. A few weeks ago, I made bread pudding using Texas Roadhouse dinner rolls. So we're going to be using the same concept for glazed donut bread pudding. Now for bread pudding, you always want to use leftover bread. Now in the Texas Roadhouse bread pudding video I did a few weeks ago, I told you the best bread for bread pudding is leftover bread that is going stale or is close to going stale. That's the best product you could use for bread pudding. I also said that if you up the quality of the bread that you use, you up the quality of your bread pudding. So today I'm going to up the quality even more by using some of my favorite things in this world, donuts. So I actually have 24 donuts that I'm going to be using today, and I've had them since Monday, so they are more than a couple days old, which makes them perfect for this recipe. So unfortunately, I do not have a Krispy Kreme near me, and we all know that Krispy Kreme has the best original glazed donuts. But this is my second favorite. It's from BJ's brand, Wellesley Farms. So as you can see, I'm going to be using delicious glazed donuts today in this recipe for glazed donuts bread pudding. Really, really simple to make and really delicious. So I bet you can imagine this is going to be a really tasty dessert because our bread itself is a dessert in itself. So this is going to be a rather fun video to make and a rather interesting one to bake with all of you guys. So let's get right into the ingredients for today's recipe. The star of the recipe is obviously the glazed donuts. You want to use 2 dozen of them so that you get a nice big pan full of glazed donut bread pudding. Now for the custard, we're going to need 6 eggs, 1 cup of whole milk, a couple teaspoons of ground cinnamon, and then my secret ingredient for glazed donut bread pudding. Since the donuts already have sugar, they have sugar in the form of the glaze on top of the donuts, and as the donuts bake, that glaze melts into the pudding mixture, so that's going to make it nice and sweet. So we don't need to add sugar to the glazed donut bread pudding mixture. But in place of that, I'm going to add a 14-ounce can of sweetened condensed milk. Now, this sweetened condensed milk is going to make our pudding creamy and delicious. Now, I've never ever had sweetened condensed milk before. I've never baked with it. I've never tried it. But today we're going to change that, because a fellow chef that I know told me that this is a chef's best friend, a pastry chef's best friend. It has whole milk and sugar. Milk and sugar is a great combo when it comes to making puddings like bread pudding and rice. You can omit whole sugar by itself when you're making bread pudding by using sweetened condensed milk and your other ingredients that you're going to be using. Also in today's video, I show you how to make a delicious caramel sauce using sweetened condensed milk. So that'll be coming up in a few minutes as we get ready to head to the kitchen. So I'm going to have a full list of all the ingredients that you're going to need for today's recipe in the video description and also in the comments of my YouTube channel. With that being said, let me throw on my apron and let's head right to the kitchen to make this delicious glazed donut bread pudding. Hey everyone, welcome to my kitchen. Today we are going to be making glazed donut bread pudding. But first, we are going to go over to the stove and make a awesome sauce to serve with our bread pudding. Now this sauce is known as Dulce De Leche, or a simple homemade caramel sauce. So basically it's a sweetened condensed milk sauce that is really good. And it's really easy to make, folks. All it takes is just one ingredient, one pan filled with water. And I'm going to show you how to make this amazing Dulce De Leche sauce or caramel sauce that you can serve with my glazed donut bread pudding, my Texas Roadhouse bread pudding, on top of cakes or over ice cream. It is really good. However, it does take a little bit of time to prepare, so that's why we are doing it first. So I'm going to show you the ingredient and how simple this is to make. So our ingredient is sweetened condensed milk, and today I'm using Nestle sweetened condensed milk because it was buy one get one free at my local grocery store. But you could use whatever brand of sweetened condensed milk you have on hand or that you like. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to turn on my stove, and I got a pan of water here. So I'm going to turn my stove on, and you're simply just going to remove the label if you can. This one is kind of, here we go. So you're going to get as much of the label off as you can so that we can make our caramel sauce or our Dulce De Leche sauce, because the label will get all ruined in the water. So you're going to want to put this in the water like this. So just simply put it in there. And you want enough water to where it is submerged. I'll show you what that looks like in just a second. So now we got it on the stove, and now we're going to boil this for about 2 to 3 hours. I like a darker caramel sauce, so I'm going to boil it for 3 hours. But you can do 2 hours if you don't have the time. So this bread pudding recipe that I'm showing you today can be made in the morning. You can make the sauce in the morning and then make the dessert in the afternoon or evening, and then your sauce will be ready that way. So I'm going to show you right now what your pan should look like with the sweetened condensed milk in it. Okay, so as you can see, I've got water filled to the top of the pan, and the entire can is submerged in water. You want to make sure at all times the can is submerged in water. During the 3-hour process, you're going to need to add fresh hot water in case the water level goes down. So if it goes down, just add more water. You're going to cook this for 2 to 3 hours to make a delicious caramel sauce or Dulce De Leche. So this is a great sauce, and I can't wait to show you when it's done. Alright, so it's been 3.5 hours since I boiled my sweetened condensed milk. So that means our caramel sauce and our Dulce De Leche sauce is now done. I want you to take a look at how beautiful that is. A homemade caramel sauce, and it looks awesome. So I'm going to just take some of this out and show you. Look at that. That is a beautiful caramel sauce. And I'm going to put that into our bowl, which we're going to use later. So when it comes time to serving this great bread pudding, all you got to do is microwave this caramel sauce, which I'm going to call it because I really don't understand. I don't know how to pronounce the name of it. I don't know. I had to research Google before I got on video here. But this is really beautiful sauce. It looks great. It looks like peanut butter almost. So if you want it this dark, 3 hours. If you want it a little bit lighter, 2 hours. So this is a real simple caramel sauce. You don't need to melt sugar or anything like that because there's already sugar in the sweetened condensed milk. So I learned this recipe from a friend of mine who is a pastry chef, and I asked her for a caramel sauce recipe because I told her I was making bread pudding, and she said just go to the store and buy a can of sweetened condensed milk and boil it for 3 hours. Well, she said 2.5 to 3 hours, but I chose 3 hours. And you've got your caramel sauce. And I didn't think it would work, but it looks perfect. So our sauce is ready, and now we're ready to begin the main star of today's recipe, which is the glazed donut bread pudding. But I'm going to go ahead and give this sauce a try because I've never made this before, and I've never tried sweetened condensed milk. And I'm going to give you an honest reaction, and we'll see how this tastes. So here we go. That is really good. It tastes just like caramel. It tastes actually, it has a caramel flavor. I love that. So you can make this for ice cream, any kind of desserts. And when we're ready to serve our bread pudding, all you got to do is just reheat this, and you've got an awesome caramel sauce. So let's get started and make our bread pudding. my homemade caramel sauce. That is absolutely delicious. So this is the first recipe in today's video. Do make this because you're going to love it, especially considering it's only one ingredient. Look how beautiful that caramel sauce is. So definitely make this recipe. Are you ready for today's main event? It's time to make our delicious glazed donuts bread pudding. So let's get started. I have already diced up some glazed donuts. This is a dozen already, so you're going to get a lot of donuts in here, but that's what we need for our bread pudding. So I'm going to show you how to do it. It's really simple. And again, you could use any glazed donuts if you have on hand, but just make sure that they are yeast donuts. You don't want to use cake donuts for a bread pudding. So, as I said earlier in the video, these are at least 4 days old, which makes them perfect for this recipe because they are getting firm, which is good because it's going to absorb our custard. So basically, you just rip them apart and drop. Like that. That's how simple this is. So I'm going to do that with the next 11 donuts. And then we're going to simply make our custard, which is real simple. It's basically just 6 eggs, sweetened condensed milk, a pinch of cinnamon, and vanilla, and a little bit of whole milk. And then we'll pop this in the oven for about 30 minutes at 375, and we'll let that cook. And then when it comes out of the oven, we'll let it sit for about another half hour or 20 minutes. And then we can serve it. And then we can warm up that delicious caramel sauce that we made. Very, very nice sauce. I can't believe you can make homemade caramel that easy. So you don't have to make them any particular size. Just remember that there's going to be a lot of donuts in here, so you don't really need to add any sugar to the custard mix. And you really don't even need a sauce for this bread pudding. I just decided to make that Dulce De Leche, or however you pronounce it, or the caramel sauce, because I wanted to try it for myself, and I wanted to taste it. So that's why I did it in this video. But if you don't want to use a sauce and you think that the glaze on the donuts is enough sugar for you, then I definitely agree with you on that. Okay, so a few more donuts. It looks like this is going to be more bread than the Texas Roadhouse bread pudding I made a couple weeks ago. But that's because I'm using 24 donuts, and donuts are generally a lot bigger than bread. All right. One more. Perfect. So this is great for like Thanksgiving morning or Christmas morning or a perfect dessert. Or it could also be like a brunch dessert or a breakfast. So let me go wash the glaze off my hands and we'll make the custard. Alrighty, so here's our mixture for the custard. Let me make sure I got my weapons. Oh, where'd they go? Shoot, where's my spatula? Here it is. All right, so these are my weapons. This is to mix the donuts in the custard, and this is to make the custard. And then, of course, this is to bake the custard. And just like the Texas Roadhouse bread pudding, you want to grease your 13x9 pan so it doesn't stick. Simple as that. So let's get started making our custard. So for the custard, basically you just take 6 eggs. 1, let me put the camera a little bit down so you can see it. Here we go. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So those are 6 eggs. I'll turn that to the fridge in a second. All right, so now we're going to take our sweetened condensed milk and we're going to pour it in there. So that's in there. Come on. All right. So we're going to add a little bit of ground cinnamon, and that is optional, but I think it's good in any dessert puddings. Okay. Some vanilla extract. I would use my friend J.R. Watkins from Jeremy Stellhorn, but I ran out. I got to get some more for the holidays, definitely. And last but not least, the rest of this whole milk. Perfect. And now we just mix it together, whisk it together. Hopefully without spilling the mixture all over my laptop. I can smell the glazed donuts. It smells awesome in here. And they haven't even been baked yet. Now, I've never ever tried this recipe, so I have no idea how delicious it's going to be or how sweet it's going to be. But I've seen videos on YouTube of people making this recipe with Krispy Kreme donuts. And you guys know I love Krispy Kreme glazed donuts. It's a shame that you don't have one in Palm Beach County, Florida. I think our nearest one is like 30 or 40 minutes away. This whisk is doing a terrible job. All right, so I keep making sure everything is combined and the eggs are broken up. You got to do like really hard with the whisk I have. So make sure you guys have a good whisk at home. All right, so that's looking good so far. Just make sure there's no eggs left. All right, we're almost finished with it. Perfect. So now here comes the fun part. So we're going to move this to the side and take our large bowl. Let me turn this down for you again. All right, so now we're going to simply take our custard. Let me see if I can get it to show. All right, this is the best I'm going to have. So we're going to take our custard and we're going to pour it all over the glazed donuts. Perfect. And just like I did with the Texas Roadhouse bread pudding, I'm going to take my spatula and make sure that every donut gets covered, because we want this to be a nice moist bread pudding. Making sure that every single piece is covered. It smells good already. So I'm just going to continue to work this until I am quite sure that every piece is covered. So I first learned about bread pudding when I was in culinary school, and one of the desserts we had to make for a large catering event was a bread pudding, but it was a traditional bread pudding made with leftover French bread, and it had raisins, cranberries, and a bourbon sauce with white chocolate inside. It was good, but I'm not a fan of cranberries, so that's why I don't make that recipe, but I would make it again without cranberries. And that recipe was when I was living in Massachusetts. So down here in Florida, things would be a lot different because we don't have fresh cranberries like I had in New England. Alrighty, so this is looking excellent now. So now we're ready to put it in the oven and bake it. All right, so this is what it looks like. If I could show it to you. I wish I had a camera, man. This would be so much easier. All right, so this is what it looks like. As you can see, it's nice and combined. And that's exactly what you're looking for, so that it bakes into a delicious dessert. So I'm going to get my baking pan behind me and make sure you grease it well. This is what I used, cooking spray, but you could use any spray you have, or even butter or a little bit of oil. So now we just take our pudding and we pour it in there. Perfect, it fit. I thought it was going to overflow. Thank God it didn't. And get every bit out of there. I was taught that by my great grandmother. She was a baker, and she was like, in my bakery, I get every bit out of that bowl. She grew up in the Great Depression, so bakers at that time, they were trained to use every single ingredient they had, which meant that every product they baked, they had to make sure everything comes out of that mixing bowl. So that's how I was taught. So now I'm going to spread this evenly, and then we'll pop it in a 375-degree oven for exactly 30 minutes, and then it should be done. It could be 30 to 35 minutes, depending on how strong your oven is. But it's only until it's golden brown and it springs back to the touch. We don't want to bake it too much because it will not be moist. It will be very dry inside, and we don't want to do that with bread pudding. So that looks good. It's nice and even. So this is what it should look like before you pop it in the oven. Nice even. And we're going to put it in the oven, and when I come back, it will be time to serve, and it will be time to eat. So thank you for joining me for making this part. This is the fun part, but the best part is eating this delicious dessert, because I can't wait to try it. All right, here we go. We'll turn the timer on for 30 minutes. And here we go. We'll be right back, folks. It smells awesome in here. This is the glazed donut bread pudding. finished baking, so I'm going to take it out of the oven and we'll let it chill for a few minutes. So here it is out of the oven, and now I want to show you how you can tell it's done. It will spring back when you touch it, so I'm going to touch it and show you how it springs back. Just like that, you can tell that it's done. It springs back to the touch. So now we're going to let this cool for half an hour, and then we'll be ready to serve it. Alright, so it's time to serve our delicious glazed donut bread pudding. So first I'm going to get our sauce ready. So what I did to the caramel sauce is I microwaved it in the microwave for 40 seconds, and that made it a little bit looser so that we can pour it on top of our pudding if we want to use it. And as you can see, I'm able to whisk it together, and it's a little bit more pourable. I'm only going to use a little bit of this on mine because it's sweet enough. Alright, so that's ready. Now we're going to simply take a knife and cut into our bread pudding. So this is what it looks like. Remember, there are 24 donuts in here when you serve this, so you don't want to serve a huge portion. So I'm going to take a knife and simply make a cut. That's nice and moist. Okay, as you can see, it's nice and moist on the inside. And then we're going to take a spatula and we're going to take it out. Alright, here we go. As you can see, it's nice and moist. Perfect. That's awesome. And now we're going to take some of the caramel sauce that I made, just a little bit because I don't want too much. Alright, perfect. And now I'm going to give it a try with all of you guys on camera. My first time trying glazed donut bread pudding. So here it is. Looks good, right? Let's see if I can switch the camera while I'm filming. No, I can't. So hold on 1 second. Alright, this looks good, doesn't it? This is the donut bread pudding. So now I'm going to give it a try, and then we'll wrap up this amazing video. Alright, so here we go. I'm going to give it a try and let you know how it tastes. It is very good. I think the caramel complements it pretty well. I thought it was going to be sweet, but it's not really that sweet. Probably because the glaze melted when it cooked. But the caramel gives it like a unique flavor. So overall, it's a delicious recipe. I definitely recommend you make it. I think you're going to like it. So I hope you give my recipe a try, and I hope you make this glazed donut bread pudding. Thank you guys for watching. You've been watching Chef Alex in the kitchen. Alright guys, that was our baking video today. I hope you enjoyed watching me make glazed donut bread pudding. I had a lot of fun making this, and I hope you will try this recipe in your kitchen because it is really simple. That caramel sauce is really easy to make. It's a awesome homemade Dulce De Leche sauce and an awesome homemade caramel sauce. And the bread pudding that we made today was delicious. So please leave a like and share this video. if you enjoyed it. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, the legendary Alex Cardinale. Chef Alex saying thank you for tuning in, and I will see you next time in the kitchen. Goodbye, everybody. Untitled Sergeant Alex Cardinale here, wishing you a happy and scary Halloween season. Don't forget, maggots, to turn into the 2021 Halloween Bash, hosted by me, Sergeant Alex Cardinale, live on Halloween night, October 31st at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, right here on my YouTube channel, the legendary Alex Cardinale. Be there or be square. And that's in order. Thank you for watching me, Chef Alex in the kitchen. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel for some more cooking and baking videos. Make sure to subscribe to the legendary Alex Cardinale. With that being said, thank you for watching this cooking video. And if you use my recipe, be sure to tell me how it is in the comments. And if you have any cooking or baking questions, post them in the comments as well. Have a great rest of your day, and thank you for watching.